We recently partnered with Paris Hilton. So everything we do, we give it a US edge because we see a lot of potential.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Origin podcast. As you know, luxury second-hand is more and more famous today, and there is a lot of counterfeiting problem within this industry. And today we are going to interview Bernard Osta, the Chief Financial Officer of Vestiaire Collective, and here is his story. Bernard, welcome. Can you introduce yourself and tell us what you are doing at Vestiaire Collective?
Of course, I'm the CFO of Vestiaire Collective. I've joined Vestiaire now 4 years ago, first as Chief Strategy Officer and now CFO, based in Paris. Before that, I was an investment banker for 15 years. I started at Lazard in New York back in 2006, the first year in New York during the great financial crisis. And then I've spent 10 years at Goldman Sachs. The last deal I've done with Goldman was a fundraising for Vestiaire Collective. So I was advising Vestiaire Collective when Kering and Tiger Global Management invested. And that created an opportunity to join the company.
Okay. And at this time, like Maximilian was working as the Chief Operating Officer.
Oh, he was CEO. Right?
He was a CEO.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he decided to convince you to join the Vestiaire Collective family.
Absolutely. So as I was telling you earlier, so Max was the founder of Lazada. Lazada was the equivalent of small Amazon in Southeast Asia, which he sold very successfully to Alibaba. And at the end of 2018, he joined Vestiaire, reaccelerated Vestiaire, transformed Vestiaire from what was very much a consumer company to a technology company. I got to know him during those years, his first years at Vestiaire Collective in 19 and 20, and during COVID notably, where Vestiaire had a lot of challenges, but also a lot of opportunities. Business very much accelerated. And indeed, when on the back of the success of the fundraising, at some point he told me, Bernard, now you're joining. To which I said, I'm not joining Max. First, because I wasn't sure whether he was serious or not. But also because I was a big fan of my banking career. I very much enjoyed it. So I was like, no, it's not happening. And then he came back to me a month later and said, Bernard, I mean it. Like, I want you to join Vestiaire. And again, I was like, okay, I'm going to say no. But, out of seriousness, I've taken a piece of paper to write the pros and cons.
Yeah.
And there was a bit of an alignment of stars of why joining Vestiaire. I got along very well with Max. I saw that he was very successful. Lazada, then Vestiaire Collective is one of the very rare entrepreneurs who took two businesses to the unicorn status. We see a lot who took one business to unicorn status, but two, it starts to be a very small group. I got along very well with the management team beyond Max. And from my position, joining from Goldman, I saw that some of them had experience at Amazon, at Lazada, at BCG, in luxury houses. And this was quite comforting for me and reassuring that, okay, it's a strong group of people. Then it was an opportunity to have an experience outside of finance. So I had done 15 years in finance and I was joining as Chief Strategy Officer, also with tasks that were outside of finance. There was a management role. In banking, you manage a few people, but here I was part of the executive committee, so clearly leading a group of 600, 700 people. And the last thing was obviously about Vestiaire Collective. I should have started with that. I saw that there was interest coming from all directions. Luxury houses and Kering invested, technology company, and also financial investors. And when it comes to financial investors, it was from the US, from Europe, from Asia, family offices, private equity firms, technology firms. So extremely broad set of investors who were looking at Vestiaire, and all of this put together, convinced me that, okay, that's my opportunity.
Okay.
And I accepted the job.
And what is the story behind Vestiaire?
The story behind Vestiaire was very much Fanny, who had the idea. She was seeing, all those, pieces of fashion. sitting in everyone's closet, not being used. And at the same time, the rise of fast fashion, producing apparel and changing, producing new models every day, because the fashion was changing so rapidly, and they were actually creating, this vicious circle. And she felt, okay, like we need to find a way to use those exceptional piece of goods, to satisfy the demand. And that's how they created Vestiaire. And very interestingly, it was like Vestiaire was a pioneer. Like they didn't copy anyone.
Yeah.
Quite often, when someone starts a new business, it is an inspiration coming from another business with a deviation. It's hard to have a pure creation. And Vestiaire, it was not a copy. Vestiaire was a pioneer. Actually, at the same time, there was a business in the US which started as well. That business was called Tradesy, and we bought them in 2022.
Okay.
So it was the two pioneers joining forces in the same industry.
And the story of the current CEO named Maximilian, a successful entrepreneur in the Southeast Asia, who developed a famous e-commerce platform, decided to sell it to Alibaba, and then joined Vestiaire Collective. He made an investment. He has been appointed as the chief executive officer by the board. How do you see the switch or the transition before and after Max for Vestiaire? Yeah.
So I joined after Max.
Yeah.
So everything before, I don't really know. However, and I think it's interesting, and I think this is what makes the success of Vestiaire. Vestiaire is a successful business because it's a trusted marketplace. When it comes to luxury fashion, there's no alternative. Like, trust needs to be at the center of your business model. And Fanny and Sophie, they've built business model, Vestiaire Collective, out of Paris, the heart of the fashion industry. Exchanging, getting the feedback from all the key players, learning from all the key players, building the authentication center, leveraging, the know-how from all those fashion houses. And Vestiaire Collective became very rapidly extremely successful and a trusted place. Now, what Max brought was operational excellence and technology excellence. Like Lazada, the equivalent of, as I say, a small Amazon in Southeast Asia. It was all about technology and all about operations and logistics. And he came with this expertise, joined force with Sophie and Fanny, and together it creates quite a unique business model where, it's true fashion tech, and we, in our DNA, we fundamentally have the technology piece and the fashion piece.
Okay. And we discuss it in the French podcast, but what made Vestiaire Collective successful, that's the authentication sector, which is bringing the trust, which is very important in the relationships that you are trying to create between buyers and sellers.
Absolutely. It's, as I said, at the core of our business model. We have two legs to the authentication. So first, the digital authentication. Any product listed on Vestiaire, and we're talking about 30,000 products every day, is going through an authentication algorithm, which basically will analyze the product and decide whether the product goes live or is rejected or goes to the digital authentication team, which will manually look at the product. This is as automated as possible, very efficient, but we invest a lot in this algorithm in order to make it always more powerful.
Okay.
And then the buyers have also the option to ask for physical authentication, in which case the product will transit, but only transit, so there's no warehousing, transit in one of our 4 authentication centers. We have one in Brooklyn, Hong Kong, London, and Tourcoing in France.
Okay.
What is very important, and in those centers, you have teams of authenticators who are absolutely central in our setup. We have an academy internally. We train those authenticators. The training is 6 to 9 months training, so it's a significant investment. But when it comes to investing in our authentication capabilities, we've never done any compromise. Like it's a strategic piece, again, of our business. And it is what differentiates us from many other players. And this is why companies like Kering or Condé Nast invested in Vestiaire. This is why we have now brand partnership with the likes of Gucci, Chloé, Burberry.
In my experience in my life, I bought about 8 to 10 times in Vestiaire Collective, and every time I took the 15 euros option for the physical verification.
I do the same.
I think it's a big factor, and especially the price is low for the 15 euros.
Yes.
I mean, it's convenient. Can you tell us what is the ratio of the people buying this option in comparison with the people not buying it?
Of course. So first, when it's cross-continent, you have no choice. It goes through physical authentication. And if it's above 1,000 euro, same, you have no choice.
Okay.
And if the product we're talking about, the level of counterfeiting is high, also we will force the digital physical authentication. Having said that, it's no, I won't say it. It's too confidential, but it's too confidential. But it's I'll say something else. People, when they come on Vestiaire, they're very focused on price.
Yeah.
Like, price is the main driver, the main reason why they come and shop on Vestiaire.
Yeah.
Obviously, sustainability is important. Pleasure of treasure hunting. It's a very large selection. We have 6 million products on the catalog. However, and thinking about all the available competition, price is always a big factor. So the 15 euro, which you mentioned as not being high in a product that will cost on average 350 euro, the reality is that, at the edge, and when you think about, I really want the best deal, people, they negotiate. Like you have the option on Vestiaire to negotiate with the seller. So you manage to lower the price a little bit. Sometimes you have vouchers. There are some days where there is a voucher. So you may buy on the day of a voucher to get even a better reduction. And in that context, the 15 euros, sometimes you feel like, you know what? I know this buyer. I've exchanged with him. It feels like he's, I asked 2 questions. Yeah. He's reacting well. He provided all the pictures I was expecting, and then you trust it. It's Vestiaire. I trust Vestiaire. And then you buy it.
Okay. And is the physical authentication also a way for you to rank the different sellers across the platform? It's like if you notice that 100% of the items that this seller is sending, you are going to put him a good ranking on the website.
So if you are selling counterfeited items, your ranking
your blacklist
is extremely bad. So exactly. Like it's, if you're selling counterfeited items, you won't stay on the platform. Unless you are not aware. Like if you are not aware and it's genuine, we will explain you and so on. But we are focusing on making sure that people will ship the product.
Yeah.
It's extremely important that there is no misrepresentation, or if there is a stain, you need to say that there is a stain.
Yeah.
If that you're taking the right pictures and so on. All of this is important to make your product visible, to ship in time, all of this. Yeah.
And how the logistic is taking place? Because I feel that there is a strong added value by putting the physical authentication, but at the same time, it is complexifying the logistic system because the seller needs to send it to you and then to ship it to the customer.
For the seller, no impact. For the seller, you receive a label, you print the label, you put it on your product, you ship. Whether it's going to Vestiaire or to the buyer, no impact.
Yeah.
For the buyer, the only impact, or 2 impact, I would say, obviously,
the delivery time,
the authentication, and the quality control. So that's critical. But from being at home, you will receive the product. Obviously, it will be better packaged when it's Vestiaire, and so on. So, the complex logistics, you say, the product is going to Vestiaire Collective in our warehouse. What is important is, and that's the success of our model, is the product comes to the authentication center after being sold. Okay. And it comes to the authentication center after being sold, and it only transits. So when it arrives, there is depackaging, quality control, authentication, packaging, shipping. All
Okay.
of this happened in less than 24 hours.
Okay.
It's not complex logistics.
And in France, for instance, so there is a center in Tourcoing, in the north of France.
Yes.
Why you decided to put this localization?
Two reasons. It was opened a bit more than 5 years ago. One, level of unemployment was extremely high in this region.
Okay.
Second, it's an area where the textile industry was extremely developed.
Okay.
And easier to find people who are interested in that space.
The social impact, and at the same time getting the expertise of the people from the textile industry.
Exactly.
What is the roadmap for Vestiaire Collective in the next year?
Yeah. As I always say, it's very much a beginning. Vestiaire was founded 15 years ago and was a pioneer, as I said earlier. So when you think about the penetration of secondhand into fashion or into luxury fashion, it's extremely low at 5%. So it's just doing more of the same. Growing. As you grow, you have better unit economics. You have more firepower to invest in marketing and make your brand more visible.
Okay.
So it's very much growing step by step. I think we have a very good business model. Obviously, we're listening to our customers and trying to improve the platform as we grow. I think there is a lot of room to improve the experience. I think that we are very innovative when it comes to marketing. That's very important. So it's technology, efficient marketing, and you progress continuously on those two aspects. The room to grow in an industry, fashion industry, is $3 trillion. There's a lot to do.
Okay. And last question, Bernard. So Vestiaire Collective is dominating Europe. You have a strategy also to go to the US. You are already implementing in the US. You have an office. What is the strategy in order to gain market shares in this US territory?
Yeah. So the US is our largest market already. About a quarter of Vestiaire Collective. Max relocated to the US in 23. And we've done a very successful acquisition in the US with the acquisition of Tradey. You know, the strategy US is like a continent, so we have to be disciplined when we address that market. So you have to think about each big cities almost like, a country in Europe. So if you were entering Europe, you would not start selling in Belgium, in Poland, in Spain at the same time. Yeah. So we're doing a little bit the same thing, and we're focusing on certain cities at the present time. Even though the product is available everywhere, but from a marketing perspective, whether it's branding or digital marketing, you have the tools now to be quite selective. So obviously, New York, Los Angeles, big region. Then comes Chicago, Dallas, Florida, big areas of focus. Our global marketing, we have a global marketing strategy, but it always comes right now with a US edge. We were featured in Emily in Paris, which is a global Netflix show, but with a US edge. We partnered with the actress Jessica Chastain, who's American. We didn't pick a European actress. We recently partnered with Paris Hilton. So everything we do, we give it a US edge because we see a lot of potential in the US. However, we also see a lot of potential in Europe. Because when I say it's the beginning of the story, reality is that it's the beginning of the story everywhere in Europe, in US. Those platforms are still, very new. And while we started in Europe and we are a bit more mature in Europe, my perspective is that the potential is huge in Europe and in the US.
Okay. Bernard, thank you so much. It was
Thank you very much.
a pleasure discussing with you.
Thank you. Thank you.